the great beast of the swamp, the froggiest of frogs, who ironically does not uphold a whole lot of frogs. We speak of the Froghemoth, the literal embodiment of behemoth frogs, which doesn't actually really own a whole lot of frog traits. It kind of just has tentacles and the tongue lashing, and supposedly is limited to being described as a 22-foot tall frog like creature. Which, to be fair, I think that's only accounting for its legs, because lots of things have tongues that grab things. I mean, it's got 4 sick tentacle attacks, a bite attack, and a tongue attack. That's some pretty sick damage, all things considering. But once you start accounting for, like, everything else, it's kind of there. I mean, even for its AC for CR13 is kind of... I mean, it's, like, average, I guess? It also, ironically, owns several vision-based mechanics. Because it has all-round vision. Which seems kind of redundant when you look at blind sight of 30 feet on top of that, so I guess it's cool. But it does identically what it does intentionally. Mixed in with, you know, a pseudo-immunity to electricity. If you account taking electricity bolts and being slowed, could be worse. I mean, I'd take slow over being ride bike up anything else on there. Beyond that, I mean, it's really good at grappling. Most huge size creatures with that many natural attacks and size value, and I mean, gosh, 30 strength, easy gonna have that sizing going for it. But given all those stats working in favor to itself, considering it's described as like something that literally preys on like dinosaurs, which even then it's based for marshes, and there's only like 3 dinosaurs that are really marsh based described, one being flying and the other being water based. So this like only option you have is this one. And it's also described as being able to eat dinosaurs, but or dragons. Dragons, right. But the only dragons that live in swamps, I'm pretty sure a black dragon's gonna win the fight against this thing, like hands down. And the only other thing would be a mistdrake. But nobody's gonna be using mistdrakes to describe what's getting eaten. You hardly even hear of a mistdrake. But they're one of the few things that like live in a swamp and get eaten. Because much as I believe in the strength of a mistdrake, this damn thing is gonna be tough enough to eat it. But all in all, overall, I mean, it's eating dinosaur after dinosaur, so that's always a positive note. And if worst comes to worst, it does own, you know, the niceness of being, I mean, it's an aberration. Obviously, it has, like, no native locations to really acquire. When you run into them, it's the only one living around the area. It's supposedly I guess, a ambush predator, but any descriptions you ever hear about it is pretty much involves itself being a roaming creature. I mean, even in the history of Gloria, the only ones that really show up in it was pretty much a massive version of it that started eating people, but it only ate 200 people, which is really sad amount of kill rate. If it's supposed to be the big version of it and only managed 200, this thing would be a monster to commoners. The scariest that comes out of it is, you know, it's got to constrict, which is kind of, it's there, I guess. I mean, you can use it to constrict like a lot of creatures, a lot. I mean, its bite's got a grab, it's got 4 tentacles with grabs, a tongue attack with a grab. Hell, the tongue attack's got a reach of 30 feet. That's frightening as is. And if you're small enough, it swallows you. At huge size, that's a lot of creatures. And it's semi-decent AC for its stomach contents. It's 18 hit points. It's kind of meh. It's a stomach, so what do you expect? But then to top it off, it has Cleave, which seems kind of random given feats, but it's also in Bestiary 1, so who would have guessed? And I mean, even as its skill listed onto it, it's literally got this nice stealth of 14, a nice +8 in marshes, so who would have guessed it lived in marshes? It's got an okay perception, which I think is listed differently up here than down here, but oh, that's the racial modifier. I'm blind. But it gets a wait, it gets a plus oh, all around vision, I guess would be accurate. And it resists fire, but I don't think you're really going to be using fire and for marsh creatures to kill, so who would have guessed? Oh, right. Strix restricted to its tentacle, but who? At this point, it needs to be tough enough to fight the things it's supposedly eating. Which, given its nature, it's everything. It's also one of the few huge creatures that owns this sick actual positive dexterity. I mean, it gets ruined by its size modifier, but I mean, it's still nice. It's got halfway decent saves because of its fairly good stats. Weirdly enough, if you can find a way that you can to get aberration on your list of creatures, it's got 2 intelligence. It's dumb enough to be an animal companion. Or one of those special circumstance companions, because it's got the intelligence for it. And as usual, you know, I think it's one of the few times that doesn't have like an innate grapple bonus outside of a feat. Or does it even have the feat for it? It might just have an extra +4 to grapple. Some of the things they don't notate. I mean, beyond that, it's got like a lot of hit points, but 24 con makes that feel nice for 16. But 180 hit points does feel like awful lot of hit points for something this size. It's got its all-around vision, which covers for pretty much flanking at this point. Blind sight to chase you really down, which is kind of funny to picture because it's always described as, you know, it digs into the ground to hide in the marsh and then pops its little eyeballs out to go and, you know, see stuff. Which, fair enough, fair enough. I wouldn't blame it for that. I mean, those eye stalks do wonders for it. Not sure why it has blind sight of all things, but we live and we just trust that's the method. I don't think there's anything particularly exciting for it. It doesn't really show up in a lot of campaigns for Pathfinder because it's an aberration, so they're kind of solidified into their own problems. But when you have something that's primary prey is the forgotten species and the slightly less forgotten species, but even then, you know, you got this lovely, lovely big frog monster. I can't even think of much to shove in here at this point. Well, I should at least call it then, because I don't have much else to really describe without rambling anymore. But for now, we'll at least know that this thing is the Froghemoth. What more could you possibly want from a frog that's 22 feet tall and 12,000 pounds?